So today's we're going to focus on a couple topics, and it's kind of like building into the listing appointment, and that is building rapport with your person when you show up to the appointment, and or even before. And we'll do an exercise on comps. So let's get into building rapport right off the bat. A lot of this, well, I'm going to talk about basically at the appointment, but you should be building rapport on the phone ahead of the appointment, asking a lot of questions. We have sample questions. But before we get into that, something came to mind this morning. I was like, I need to share it with them. And that has to do with red, yellow, green, blue. And who's familiar with personality types or styles of people? 1, 2, 3. A couple people you've heard about before. You may not know exactly what it is. I'm going to do a quick kind of overview of it because it comes into importance when you are talking with people and how to communicate with them and what to say and what not to say. So first off are the red personality types. We call them your drivers. These folks are people who are competitive. They talk before they think or speak. They tell you what's on their mind. Demanding, they can be strong-willed. Let me see, I got more on my phone I want to show you. They could be aggressive, very goal-oriented, could come off as pushy, very decisive, controlling, powerful. They're very straightforward people. Some downside of the personality can be controlling or sometimes overbearing. So those are your reds, your drivers. They often can have short tempers too. They can. All right, next up, your yellows. Yellows are very social. They're always talking. They're just going for it, right? They're talkative. They're very enthusiastic. That's a positive trait. They're oftentimes creative, very optimistic, looking toward the future, charming. However, they can be a little self-centered. It's kind of like all about them. They want to tell you everything they've done over the weekend, and they won't stop. They'll go from subject to subject to subject in one big paragraph. So you got to you can usually identify a yellow personality because they just go. Oftentimes they're the life of a party. They want to get things going. They want people to have a good time. Downside, negatives of yellows, because there's negatives to every personality trait. They're often frantic, all over the place. They don't have a very good schedule. They lack structure. All right, so just a quick overview. Greens. The greens. Greens are your caring folks. They want to make sure everybody's happy. They don't like confrontation. They're very patient. They like to think. They think a lot before they speak. They are very relaxed people. However, they can be stubborn. Greens are known as being very helpful. They're the good worker bees. If you want something done, you give them a task. They're kind of good workers. They're very understanding. They're loyal. They're modest. They're composed, thoughtful. They conceal their feelings. It's hard to know what they're thinking or because they just kind of chill, right? But they're very kind. So greens, because they think before they speak, can be indecisive, and they can be stubborn. They don't like change a whole lot. They don't like fast change. Okay, last ones are your blues. The blues are the analytical guys. They love facts. They love numbers. They're very formal. They're factual, like facts. Love numbers. Very cautious. A lot of times very reserved. Think of data analyst people, accountants, those type of people. They're very quiet. They're also going to think a lot before they speak. They can come off as being cold. Like, how come he's not responding to my questions? Well, he's thinking, he's internalizing. Let's see what else it says. Very structured, analytical. They're perfectionist, methodical, seeks facts. They question everything. They're logical, meticulous. So think scientists. Think people who work in numbers all day. So these are your 4 personality styles. So these 2 in the middle here, these are like your people person, like caring type of people. They're relationship oriented. These, the blues and the reds, are kind of task oriented. You know, that's what they call them. So who do you think on this list are your introverts? Like they keep to themselves, so to speak.
Red and blue.
Blues, there can be an introvert. True. Who's an extrovert? Outgoing extrovert, wants to.
That'd be yellow.
Yeah, yellow for sure. Greens can be introvert, and also they're very extrovert. Like they're just going to talk. They're going to give you what's on their mind, and let you know. So being in sales, you're dealing with different people all the time, all different sorts of personalities. So you I'm not an expert at this. It's relatively new concepts for me recently, but I thought, man, I'm like, now I'm going around like, not judging them, but trying to figure out, all right, let me see what personality. If you were to go take a test, and I've done this for myself, you can have multiple personality types. You know, the most common percentage in the world, the majority of people are green. They're the greens. That's the majority. So 80 some odd percent. So it's interesting what people think about themselves, and if you ask what they think they are, it could be completely different. We have a friend, she's a complete red yellow. She's very driven and like driver. She won't stop talking. She'll go from one subject to the next. We love her to death. She's a fabulous person. When you ask her what she thinks she is, she's like, oh, I'm an introvert. I'm totally introvert. I'm like, you're not. She doesn't like silence. She's uncomfortable with silence. So she always feels she has to talk. She's like, even if you're at lunch, there can't be any 30 seconds of quietness. It always has to be feel. She's like, I get uncomfortable. I'm going, you're not an introvert then. You're a total extrovert. So kind of moving on, I wanted to bring this up just so you can go around and as you're out and about. There's a book called Surrounded by Idiots, written by Erickson, a guy named Erickson. You should really read it. It's very interesting. He wrote it, he got the title because he worked for the CEO of this big company. The CEO said, I'm always surrounded by idiots. Like he thought all the workers were idiots. Well, he didn't realize he didn't know how to relate to people because everybody has different personalities. I'm gonna do it real fast, just from what I've read. When you're talking with the driver, and this can be tough for some of you yellows, but if you know somebody's a driver, the drivers don't want to hear all the backstory. They don't want to hear about your weekend. They don't want to hear about your vacation. They just want to know what's going on and how's it going to be solved. So they just get to the point. The faster it is, speed equals efficiency. And that may not always be the case, but if you can show you're doing something fast, they think you're efficient. Whether or not it's going to blow up in the end. Talking to yellows, they, for the most part, I'm not categorizing anybody in the room, but yellows like to be, they like to know that they're doing things right. Like, you're doing a great job. You gotta they want to hear the backstory. They want to hear, and they want you to listen to what they've done for the weekend and all that. So you want to be a great listener and talk to them. Greens, they just need time to process. They want time to process things, so don't expect the immediate decision that moment in time. Blues, if you're meeting with the blue on a listing appointment, you better have all your comps, all your numbers, because you know darn well they're on every single real estate website and they know what the value of their house is. And if they ask for something, they expect you to have it in your briefcase and pull it out. And if you don't have it, you go, I don't know, but I'll get right back to you. So blues, if you know you're going to meet somebody that's a scientist or an analytical dude, bring more data about the zip code, the comps, the market, like everything you can find, data. Show you're prepared.
I put Richard in blue.
Really? Thank you.
Is that why?
Thank you.
Is that why? So when I took the test, I was 88%, and then 12% blue. That was me, 88-12. But the thing is, there's another book called Alter Ego. There's a book called Alter Ego where you change who you are in different situations.
Yeah.
So when Matt hits the video button, boop, I become a more talkative yellow. Like I change a little bit to be more outgoing. My natural personality is green. So when you're going to meet with different people, you might have to change your personality a little bit to change it up.
Where did you find the test to take this?
I'll have to share it. I can't remember. I thought I had you take it.
I Googled it.
There's Google. You can Google personality color test or something. There's a few of them out there. And they're all free to do. It's really helpful, especially if you know you're going into an appointment. That's why I recommend before going on an appointment, look them up on LinkedIn. Try to find out what they do for a living. Look them up on social media. Look them up on Instagram. You can kind of get a sense, and sometimes if they put stuff out there, what kind of work they do. It talks about compatibility, what personalities get best along with others, and vice versa. And ones don't mix very well. Greens and yellows tend to get along because yellows want to talk, greens don't want to talk. So the greens just sit there and I respond, oh, that's cool. Like, tell me more. 10 minutes later, oh, right on. So what'd you do then? No. Wow, that sounds like you had a great time. That fit my personality. I didn't have to say 3 words.
That's me during the Zoom meeting.
Yeah. So now let's get into, you're going on an appointment, kind of digested, you've done your research. I have some ideas on building rapport, but you want to kind of give some thoughts?
Well, yeah, there's, number one is, so if you're going on the appointment and it's the first time that you're going to actually meet them, then try to have a conversation on the phone with them. And how do you figure out what some of their motivation is? Well, why are you wanting to sell? That's going to give you a big one. Well, I got a new job in Salt Lake City. Okay, well, that's something that you're going to build some rapport with, because as you're giving your presentation, you're going to say, and this will help you get to Salt Lake City faster. So then maybe a couple other things, or, hey, what'd you think about that 49er game this weekend? Oh, I'm not into football. Okay, well, they're not into football. What if they started talking about, I'm a Raiders fan? There's 2 points you just picked up on that you can use when you go to talk to them. One, about getting them to Salt Lake City, because that's their new job. What do you think about your new job? Yeah, it's going to be different because I'm going to be doing this now instead of this. So now you picked up 3 points. So that conversation on the phone, not only just about real estate, is building the rapport, and you've pick up 3 or 4 things, and that's things you can continue with as you get to the appointment. So to start, you can't just let's walk around the house, show me the house. Okay, now you're going to start looking at pictures and things they have on the mantle, like pictures of their little puppies, things like that, or whatever it might be. They might truly be into football because 2 of their kids play junior football or youth league, things like that. So there's where you're building your rapport. You're picking up things that they like or do or even don't like, and using that on your rapport when you first meet with them. So a lot of people say, I don't know anything about them. Well, ask a few questions and just in conversation, and then write those down, because you're on the phone, pretty easy to just write them down. So there's a little bit about building rapport. You want to take it a little further than that?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it pretty good, but I think if you can, given these personality styles and how they respond to your questions, like if you ask them stuff and they're kind of cold and reserved, like they might not be interested in talking about that. If you ask them a question and they're just talkative and go off, then yeah, you probably identify a yellow. Piece of advice, if you're dealing with somebody who's a driver in a red, like you're going in, I wouldn't spend too much time with chit chat. Like, just they want to get down to business. Like, all right, we're here to talk about selling the house. Let's talk about selling the house. I don't want to talk about football, 49er game, baseball game, none of that. So you kind of judge who's on the other side. And I wish I knew this 10 years ago. I'm just learning about it recently because I've been on many appointments and the person's like cold. I'm like, dude, this guy's, normally I can talk to people pretty good. And he probably thought I was salesy. All right, so I wrote on top Ford. Does anybody know what Ford is? I've talked about it before on meetings and stuff. It's an acronym. It's not a car. In this case, it's an acronym. So these are talking points with clients or sphere of influence, or maybe the person you're going to meet. If you don't know what to say, just remember Ford and you can bring something up. So Ford is asking about their family. So, oh, you married? Do you have any kids? Where are you from originally? Like, most people aren't from Stockton. They've moved in, or maybe they are. And so the whole family thing, Ford is family. Like, oh, what do you talk about their kids' sports or what they did at, dance, kids events, that sort of thing. You get the point. O is occupation. Oh, what do you do for a living? How long have you been there? Is that your first career? Did you do something else before that? What's your wife do? That sort of. And just right there should be plenty of questions that have some sort of conversation to identify before you get into the comps and stuff. R is recreation. What do you like to do? What are your hobbies? What kind of things do you do when you're not working? And D is dreams. You're like, what do you guys, that's like really deep in the conversation. Most of the time you don't even get to D, but like, where do you guys see yourself being in 5 years? Long-term plans, your goals. That'd be great to talk to if you're talking to like somebody who's an investor. Like, how many units do you want to own or something? What's your ideal cash flow on a couple properties, or something like that. So Ford, whenever I'm looking for something to talk about, I remember Ford and I go, okay, family, occupation, whatever. And I talked about with this guy, oh, what do you like to do on the weekends? So Ford's a good little acronym.
Good, you learned how to build rapport when you walk in with them. Now you're in there, and now we're going to do some comps and figure out a price. David?
All right, flip over I printed out 3 pages. Haha. How'd I make this? You like it? This is in Cloud CMA, which is free in your Metrolist CMA. I can show you later how to make this, but for sake of today, this didn't print out as nicely as it normally looks, just FYI, but we're just looking at data right now. So this is the bulk of what I share with people when I go and sit down with them. I'm sorry, it's not the bulk of it, it's a piece of what I share with them. I like these pages because it breaks down. This top page is a map, and on the map, so just to back up, this is a listing I have coming up, 8314 Tarbet. and it's a probate sale. Just to give you guys a little backstory, it's going to be a probate sale, and I'm just waiting to get access to the house so I can move forward. So I just ran the support yesterday, and I'm going to I already sent this to the owner who is in Georgia, or not the owner, the executor. And so she has the report. I can't meet with her face to face, obviously, unless she comes out, but I'll kind of real quick kind of show you what I talk about with what I say when I'm sitting in front of somebody. So Richard is my seller. I always face it toward them when I'm sitting across the table. I don't have this thing looking at it like this. Like I'm presenting this upside down.
Okay, I've got it right here.
So what I do is explain to them basically what it is. Obviously these are solds, but I explain to them how I did it. So I say, Richard, so here we are on the map. This is your house right here, 8314 Tarbet. So what I did, just so you know, is I do what an appraiser does. I look for the closest sold homes in your neighborhood that are similar in size, your square footage, bedroom and bathrooms. Gotcha. There were some other sales, but they were much bigger homes, because is your home 1196 square feet?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so there were some bigger ones that were like 2,500, 2,200. There were also some smaller homes that were 2-bedroom, 1-bath, so like 900 square feet. I didn't include those in the report because I wanted to compare the homes that matched yours the most.
Okay.
Because what happens is, to get the best indication of the value of your house, we are going to look for the ones that are most similar and is sold within. These all sold within the last 6 months.
Okay.
So it's the most recent data.
Alrighty.
So now if there were other, just coincidentally, there's no other actives or there's no pendings. If there were, I would include those as well. But for right now, there's just a weird market. So these are all sold.
So I won't have any competition.
Correct.
Good. I want to list my house higher.
I figured you would. Because I'll make that point. Okay, so this one around the corner is also a 3-bed, or it's a 3-bed, 2-bath. It's 1,300 square feet. It's on the market for, I'll just make a number up, for 410. So essentially, that's going to be your competition.
Okay.
So when buyers are looking at your house, they're also going to look at that house too.
Alrighty.
So that's the line I say to get them not to price higher than theirs, unless their house is like completely updated and fixed up. So then I say, Richard, so here are the solds again. These are what the homes originally listed for and what they sold for. So as you can see, majority of them are selling for over the asking price.
Okay.
All of them did, really. And then the DOM, you got to explain what DOM means. The DOM means days on market. How fast they accepted an offer.
Wow.
So, and then after they accepted, they have an escrow process of 30 to 40 days.
Okay.
But as you can see, they're selling really fast in today's market. Given the data here, some of these, majority of the homes here are larger than yours. There's one other one that is also 1196 square feet that sold for 380. But all the other ones are a little bit bigger, wouldn't you think? Don't you think?
Yeah, they're bigger than mine.
Yeah. So have you looked online? Did you kind of have an idea of the price in mind? You always ask them what they think their house is worth.
And most people do. They have an idea. So, we were thinking, and let me take a look at this real quick, see if we're in the ballpark. I see your average square foot is 14. I'm only 11, and your average price is 406. So I don't know. I was hoping to get real high threes. 385 maybe.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I think that's kind of the range. Coming here just looking at your data without seeing your house in person, that's the range I was thinking in. Okay. And then I'd go from there if If he kind of gives a price that it's like, yeah, that's great, I'll just roll with it. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Or if he goes way too high, then I'm comparing his house to the ones that sold with pictures. Like I'll pull up. Well, you want 450, you said? Let's go take a look at the house that sold for 450 and see how it compares. Well, that one was 1663 square feet. It was a lot bigger than yours. Let's see the condition. Oh, look they updated the kitchen. Oh, they updated the bathroom. Your bathrooms, they look to be original. And I asked them, well, how much do you think it would cost to update your bathrooms? Both of them.
Oh, 15, 20,000?
Yeah, 15, 20,000.
Yeah. So see what he's doing? He's working him now, because if he just says, yeah, I'll take that price, guess what? He's got a listing that's not going to sell. And then I'm going to blame him because he accepted my price. So he's not accepting it for future reference. Does that make sense? Believe me, we're lucky right now in this market. We kind of don't know what overpriced listings are. It happens once in a while. You can overprice a listing right now, 20,000, and get away with it. In a regular market, that's not going to happen. You are sitting there 6 months later, and your ear hurts where your client's yelling at you all the time because you did a terrible job. So let's just go there real quick. What'd you put down?
I put down 385.
385. 385. Mine, 385. What'd you put down?
390.
390. That's, in this market, plenty close enough.
How about 379?
379.
That's a good number.
380, there we go.
That'd sell fast.
385 like you, but what he said made sense to me. He's like, maybe if you listed just a little bit under, maybe you get people putting in a lot more orders. A lot more.
No, there's two philosophies to that. That's not one that I usually do, but a lot of people do, and they drive the price up. I try to list, I go high because I'm showing my client I want to get you the most I can. So, but both do work in the right market. This market, everything works. Joe?
I said 385 too. I said 385, 390,
There we go. Oh, you guys are zeroing in.
400.
400.
And the reason why was we're splitting the difference between the original list price, average, and the average sold price.
Okay, David, just a little secret. What did I say that I would allow you to list at if you wanted to?
380?
400.
Oh, 400.
I said I would go up to 400. That could possibly sell in this market. Now remember, in a tighter market, let's just say 385 is kind of a good common. 15,000 over would be ridiculous. But in this market, and there's not going to be, remember David said earlier, not one other listed. So would I list them at 399, 400? Yes, I would. But that's again in this market. You just have to adjust with the market. This market can probably handle that if the house is, at least fairly clean. And then what are you going to do when you list it for 399? You're going to say, now can we walk around and I can give you a few suggestions? Maybe declutter or this or that and get it looking a little bit better. Remember, light, bright, and airy, 3 words in real estate. So with those, David, anything else on that? That's pretty good. Everybody did good
Before
on
we
that.
move on to the last two.
Now remember, this is all you being able to present this in a way that they're going to accept it. So they had a little problem here when.
Objection.
Tell us what happened.
So I was asking her, what would she suggest listing her house at, and she said 400. So I was like, okay, if it, doesn't sell, you willing to come down? She said no.
Now that's an objection there. No. Okay, you know what? And then where do you go from there? No. What'd you say? You're going to hit her?
No.
No, it's
Oh.
a broker. My broker.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Well, again, in this market, I don't think that's far off. I would take that in a second if somebody wanted to list at that price. Now, if it doesn't sell, remember, and she already said no, but hopefully we know her motivation, and her motivations are going to grow in about 30 more days because it's going to be like, why isn't my house selling? Well, I guess the market said that you're overpriced. Remember that. It's not you versus them. You have the whole market on your side. I'm worth 400. Well, we've gone 30 days and you didn't get any offers, so I guess the whole market says you're not. How can they argue that? They can't. That's 1,000 people versus one. If they argue it, then you didn't really check out their motivation well enough. Use the numbers of the market. I mean, it's numbers that they can't argue with, but I could argue all day long with Joe. Me and Joe could go back and forth because I think my opinion is as good as Joe. But is my opinion as good as Joe's and all the rest of you? No, especially another 1,000 of you, because there's at least 1,000 of us right here in Stockton, easily. So now it's me and 1,000 versus just Joe on his opinion, thinking his house is worth more, and the 1,000 are backing me because he's not getting any offers. So you see how you have to use that. You know, I hate when realtors say, in my opinion. Who cares about your opinion? Give us the market's opinion. Yes. David?
So when it comes to the pricing, my goal is always, you want to make it interactive as possible. Like, you don't want to go in there and say your house is worth X. Like, that's why I present it the way they do, to show them and then ask them what they think. And then when it comes to a price, I even sometimes will take it a step further. With Tom Ferry has a pricing strategy. It's basically, hey, Mr. Seller, there's 3 different ways we can go about pricing your house, and I'm going to see which one fits best, whatever you guys think works best for you. Number 1, we can price it way below market. And as soon as we do that, my phone's going to ring off the hook with showing requests, and they're going to want to come see the house. And I guarantee you, have you ever heard of that auction experience? We're going to create like an auction experience.
Yeah.
It's going to be
war.
It's going to create a bidding war.
Yeah.
The second strategy we can use is kind of go with what the market's telling us. The market's giving us, 380 to 390 range. We're going to price it right in there somewhere, whatever you guys feel is best, and we'll price it what the market is. Now the fourth way, sometimes can backfire, is we're pricing it high. We're going 415, 425. We're looking for that one special buyer who's willing to pay that price. But there could be a downside that, we're looking for that one buyer, so it could take a while. Which of these 3 would work best for you think?
And in this market, that one has a better chance.
Most of the people will pick
markets.
market. Oh, I'll go at the market.
Yeah. Well, a lot will say, no, I want the highest price.
So that last one, hey, we're looking for that needle in the haystack buyer. You're never going to find them, right? That's how you get them not to overprice.
Yeah. In a tougher market, you're going to have to really word that right, or you're going to be stuck. But right now, it's going to be the only house in that whole area for sale. Does it have a good chance of selling closer to that 400?
And
I think all of us agree that probably it might.
I heard a couple bad words today in your conversations, and you always said, we'll lower the price. We can lower the price. We're never going to lower the price. We're making an adjustment.
We're going to adjust. Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
We can always lower the price down to this. Well, that's like a cringy thing. We might have to make an adjustment in the future. It's a little softer, don't you think? You have to plant the seed of a price reduction later. Like, you got to plant the seed now, that when that comes up, and it will,
Yeah.
hopefully they remember you talked about making an adjustment down the road.
Yeah, when the market, those other, besides Joe and the other 1,000 say that we've seen it on MLS because I exposed it for you, and we're not getting the action, then there you go. So there's one. Here's another one real quick to kind of go along with that. You say, that appraiser is going to use these same exact numbers that I just gave you. They call us lots of times. I get calls from appraisers at least once a week because they think it's my listing when it's really one of yours, and they're asking prices, then I refer them to you because they want to know if there was 10,000 in closing costs paid or this or that. So we know more really about finding the information than an appraiser does because they find it from the same place we do. And a lot of them aren't in MLS. So tell them these are the numbers that the appraiser is going to use unless something happens in between our sales. So there's kind of another one. Anything else on that one? That's a hard battle, and you will hit that 9 out of 10 times. Everybody thinks their house is worth more than it is. I painted my cabinets. Shouldn't I get 10,000 more? I've actually heard that one. It's like, no, but you know, you gotta say it in a nicer way.
Sometimes another strategy, and this takes a little bit longer, is if you know there's something for sale, just sold, or if it's maybe it's active or pending and it's vacant, and you know it's a nicer house, like go show it to them. Like, all right, there's one on the market. Let's go take a look at it and see how it compares to yours. I've done that in the past, and they walk through. Oh, this one's been updated. Like this one has an updated kitchen versus ours.
And remember, this one's not updated.
Yeah.
So go show them an updated one that now they want more than that one. Say, are you willing to do this? Didn't David ask me what's it cost to do the 2 bathrooms? Okay, if you want to do that, you'd probably get the same price as them. Well, I don't want to do all that. Well, then maybe you need to be a little bit lower. Excellent one. And if you don't go show them, at least have some good pictures to show them that, look, it's got granite countertops. You're the 1980 tile. Your carpet is like toward the end.
Yeah.
That's brand new carpet, you know, on and on and on. That shower was totally updated. Yours is the plastic one that has the stains in the bottom. Which one would you buy, sir? Well, I'd buy that one. Oh, not yours? Oh, okay. Okay, good, good. Keep those in mind. Now, last objection. Will you reduce your commission? Funny, these are the two tough ones, but they are, and you're going to get that a lot now. They just do. Will you reduce your commission? I have another agent that will. What are you going to say? No. Okay. Driver, no. Okay, that doesn't work too often. It has worked. I've done that before. I just said no, and I kept writing the contract.
You remember the answer to this one?
And they just signed it.
You don't?
That was luck. This is the standard commission across the board that all realtors charge. What do you do, sir? Well, I'm a welder. How much do you make an hour, if I could ask? Well, I make $22 an hour. Well, how about you do a job for me for 14? Well, I'm not doing that. Oh. You just asked me to do it, but you just told me you wouldn't. So, you know, but you do it in a nice way, just kind of a comparison. Okay, that's a good one.
I generally start with marketing plan before I get into commission.
Yep.
So I'm showing them everything I'm doing. And then when a meeting rolls around to commission and they ask me to cut, I was like, well, you know, I explained how it's broken down like Julio did. Like, hey, it's normal 6%, or Jose, sorry, just kidding. No.
I look like Jose, guys. My name's Julio.
Yeah, I know, I'm just messing.
Look, can we just call you Jay?
Yeah.
They call Jose all the time. That's what I'm saying.
So I've already explained all the marketing, video, pictures, you know, social media, all that good stuff. That's a whole nother topic. So when I get to the commission part, I'll say, hey, you know, I explain how it's broken down. It's half and half. And I go, my part is 3%. We can talk about how we can adjust the buyer's agent side. A lot of times you can lower that to 2.5. So the total commission would be 5.5. How's that sound to you? I kept mine at 3. Buyer's 2.5. Yeah,
you're diverting that.
No, I was really hoping for 5. Okay, well, I go for you since you were referred to me by my aunt. We'll go 2.5 on the buyer's side, and I'll go down to 2.75. Nobody said you got to go in half point increments. Take a quarter off. You know.
And
so
remember,
now
remember, start at 6, not the 5, because then if you do give in, you kind of went down to the normal commission anyway.
So that's one angle. Is you explained all the marketing, and then when you're talking about commission, you go, hey, well, you know, that's for my 3%, I'm going to do all of these things. Would you still like me to do all of these things, you know, to market and promote your house? Well, yeah, I would. The other answer was, oh, you know, if you hired me, you know, you really hired me. What's the most important asset to you? Your house.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons you're hiring me is to protect your asset, to get as much as you can for you. If another agent was coming to this door and you ask them, hey, will you cut your commission? They go, yeah, no problem. Well, how do you think they're going to hold up when it comes to the negotiation and the price and the terms when you get an offer? Not very good. So I'm going to demonstrate you up front right now how strong I am to represent you.
Okay.
Boom.
Well, David kind of went where I was going with this. Your presentation, if it's done right, these objections won't come up.
I rarely get a commission objection.
Yeah, because he's told them, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have a professional photographer out, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that. They're going to go, whoa, the last guy talked to me, just said, you ready to sign the contract? Didn't give me all that, so he must be doing way more than the other guy's going to do, so he's worth the money.
But try to keep yours at 3 and just say, how's 5.5 sound? Like, I can negotiate with the buyer's agent. And negotiate means I'll put it in the MLS for 2.5%, right? So try to keep yours, you know?
Yeah. Now I'll end it with the one I used to use. Okay, you want me to reduce the commission. So you want me to reduce it basically what, 1%, right? So from, you know, let's just say 6 to 5. Yeah. And on your house it's what, 400,000. So we're talking about $4,000, aren't we, Mr. Seller?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's good too.
$4,000. I'll make you this guarantee right now, and I'll sign a piece of paper saying this, that if I don't negotiate well for you and make you this $4,000 back or more, then right before we close escrow, I will cut my commission. You want to sign right here? I'll go along with that. You get an offer, then you counter offer, you already did it. Instead of 400, you sold it for 405. You had to make up 4,000. You just made them 5 more. You did it in one counter. And then what if you tell them, well, I wouldn't pay these closing costs, or I wouldn't do this, or I wouldn't do that, or I wouldn't do this. And then the counter, then you say, yeah, I just made you 8 more thousand. That covers that 4, doesn't it? Done. And that's going to happen almost every time, especially in this market. You ever seen the first offer get accepted? You shouldn't. You shouldn't see it in this market because you're going to get multiple offers. Then you get to play them against each other, and then that's where you made up your money. But have a little piece of paper ready that, yeah, I'll do that. Here, I'll sign that with you right now. If we can get into an agreement, let's get your house sold and get you to Salt Lake City or wherever it is you're going.